Yeah.
My name's Peter.
Yeah.
I'm here with Tony Armstrong. We've been friends since grade 7. Tony's going to talk today about the evolution of the Biosphere Project and how he came to develop that. But we're going to start way back in the 1950s when Tony's father was working on the Avro Aero project. Tony, tell me a little bit about that and where your family was at the time.
We were in Ottawa. Actually, we lived in Elmer.
Okay.
My father's working Air Force headquarters. He was a manager, project manager, officer for the Avro Aero.
Okay.
For the airframe.
Yes.
And flight testing. And he put his heart into that project. You know what happened to it? Maybe
Yes.
most people watching this know what happened to it. It was killed by the Diefenbaker government.
1959?
59, it was totally killed.
Okay.
Best aircraft developed in Canada. If it was still flying today and upgraded, it might still be one of the best aircraft in the world, actually.
After that happened, where did your family go?
Went to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Right outside of Washington, Bethesda, Maryland.
Yes.
We were there for 4 years. My father was still a wing commander working in the Pentagon and the Canadian Embassy as military attaché for Canada to the U.S.
At that time, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened, Tony. What do you remember about that as a boy?
Lots of concern, friends getting shelters, drills at school to run home to die with our families or whatever. Other drills to hide under your desk. Pretty meaningless stuff because it probably wouldn't do much good, but gave us a feeling we had some defensive measures for pretty much an impossible situation.
Okay. How did your parents explain it to you? How much did you understand about what the threat was?
Only explanation I got, my father thought there would never be a nuclear war. He was raised in the prairies, had a basic way of looking at stuff. He didn't think anybody would be stupid enough to start a nuclear war. My mother thought, she was raised in the Blitz in England, she thought there could be a nuclear war. She told us to get ready to go to the basement in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it did enter your consciousness what was happening there during the missile crisis to some extent.
Sure.
Yeah, you were aware of what was going on there.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to skip ahead now to the time when Tony's finished high school. He starts engineering at Carleton University. You got a job at National Defense after your 3rd year. Tony, tell me a little bit about that job and how it affected you.
It was a serious job. I mean, we had good comradeship there. We did serious stuff. Comradeship. Every second Friday we'd go for luncheon somewhere. Officers' mess, other places. We were indoctrinated to believe there was going to be a war within 3 years, basically.
How did that affect your thinking?
At first, it didn't affect me too bad because I couldn't take it seriously, and it took a while to sink in. I was told within 3 years there would be a nuclear war. So after I left there, and I did all the work that I was supposed to do, and more, which included a lot of analysis of Soviet telemetry with our computer, one of our computers, which I worked on. It was in my office, actually. After that, 3 years later, I had been working in solar energy. I had finished 4th year first.
Finished your engineering, okay.
Got scholarship for...
Masters?
Yeah, but I didn't go right away. Because I felt that, you know, it'd be a waste to work my guts out doing a master's degree and then watch the world get blown up. Like.
Okay.
So I worked at NRC for a little while, and then I worked at Carleton in solar energy research in a lab that had a lot of chemicals and it made me sick. And I was also concerned about nuclear warfare, and I couldn't tell anybody because I was told basically if you're Cat 4, and I was Cat 3 working with Cat 4 material, if you're Cat 4 you can't talk to anybody without another Cat 4. Like anybody, whether you're talking doctors or people, you can't tell anybody what you worked on.
So you had this bottled up inside of you. You couldn't explain it to anybody. You couldn't talk.
I couldn't explain it to myself either. I just knew that there was something that I was dealing with, and I had nightmares. I had like visions of nuclear war. Nobody wanted it. Even if I brought it up, nobody would believe me. No. They wouldn't believe me, or they didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
It was outside. For most people, I mean, I've talked about it to some people now years later, and they still don't believe it was real. Like, they believe it was all like fairyland stuff. And these are basically civilian people They had no military environment exposure.
Right.
They weren't, and even if they were raised in a military family, they would believe basically that there was no threat during the Cold War. It was all fabricated. This is what a lot of them believed. Like,
I'm going to hold it there, Tony, just for time. We'll continue the story,
Yeah.
but thanks for beginning that
Okay.
recollection.
Thank you, Peter.